This is the Garmin 935, the best Garmin running watch. Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the vlog. Today we're going to talk about the Garmin 935 GPS watch. We're going to go through some of the features, we're going to go through some of the pros, some of the cons, and my experience of using this watch after 1 year. So most of the features you can find easily online. You can just Google them or go to the Garmin site. I'm just going to pick out a couple key features of the watch and some of the specifics of the watch. Display size 1.2 inches. Display resolution is 240 by 240 pixels. Weight is 49 grams. It is water resistant, although waterproof, water resistant to 5 atmospheres. That's like 50 feet, something like that. And it has 64 megabytes of memory in the watch. Plenty of memory. Some of the sensors that are available on the watch has GPS, it has the wrist heart rate monitor, has a barometric altimeter, has a compass, gyroscope, accelerometer, and thermometer. It has connectivity to multiple Bluetooth devices, any iPhone or Android phone as well. Also connected to cadence sensors, speed sensors, many power meters, any Ant Plus device, so chest straps for heart rate monitors as well. And what else do we have here? It has features for swimming, for biking, for running, for triathlon, and we'll go into why that's different than swimming, biking, and running. You can use it for golf. I've actually used it for golf, and multiple other activities as well. Alright, so I'd like to go through those are the features. I'd like to go through some of the ways to navigate for the different activities. So this has been used, I've used this for marathon training, for bike rides, for my swimming activities, and for triathlon. So for marathon training, it's easy to navigate through the menus. You can actually configure the menus any way you want to, very easy, right on the watch. So for while you're running, you want to look at different metrics. You want to look at heart rate, you want to look at pace, you want to look at distance, and they're all very easy to navigate through to see your average pace, your instantaneous pace, your heart rate, and the distance that you've been running. For biking, the watch instantly connects to various sensors that you can place on your bike. So as I mentioned, you can connect it to cadence sensors, so you can find out how fast your pedals are going around. Speed sensors, so it uses a sensor and also GPS to determine your speed and your distance. And also for power meters, I have a rotor power meter on my bike, and it connects instantly to the rotor power meter. It can be used for other types of power meters as well. For swimming, it's fantastic for swimming. I don't even know how it works, but in the pool, you start your watch, you set it on swim mode, and you start it, and it counts your laps. So usually in the past, I usually have to count my head and try not to lose count, or use pennies and just move pennies over. But with the watch, you do a lap back and forth. I call that 2 laps, and it actually counts your laps for you. And it tells you how much your distance. So if you want to do 100, which is 4 laps, it would tell you after 4 laps if you've done 100 yards or meters. Also, after you've done an interval, you hit your split button on the watch, and it tells you the time it took you to do that interval, which makes sense. It also tells you your rest time. So if you're doing intervals, and say you're doing 100 meter intervals on 1:30, which means at every minute and a half, you have to go again. So if you get done in a minute 20, you get 10 seconds and you have to go again. This actually helps you determine when to go again, instead of having to do the math where I came in at 123, okay, this went 7 seconds, that kind of thing. It actually shows you what your rest interval is. It's a very handy feature and for swimmers, and I love it. Also, in open water swimming, it uses the GPS obviously, and you set it to swimming, and you do an open water swim, it uses the GPS, and it'll measure your distance as you're swimming along. It also tell you your stroke count, your stroke efficiency, your speed, your average speed, that kind of thing, if you ever want to look at it while you're swimming. But what happens is it's set to vibrate in your wrist at set intervals. So right now my watch is set at 500 yard intervals. So every 500 yards my watch will vibrate, and I can look at the split for that 500 yards if I want to stop and look at the watch. Or I use it in racing. If I'm doing a 1500 yard swim, open water, I don't know how far it is because I'm just sighting to buoys, but it'll vibrate my wrist every 500 yards. So if I'm doing 1500 yards, I know that it's going to have to vibrate 3 times, and I know, like, on the second vibration, I'm like, okay, I've done 1,000 yards, I have 500 yards to go, and I can adjust my pace or efforts to finish the race. And finally, for triathlon, which is a combination of the swimming, biking, and running features of the watch, I'm going to actually show on the watch how that works. It's very nice and it's very easy to use, especially under race conditions. So let's take a look at that on the watch. As you see here, I have the watch set to the triathlon selection. So to get to start the triathlon, you hit the triathlon indicator here. And as soon as the gun goes off for the swim, now it says GPS isn't found, but that's fine because I'm inside. But as soon as the gun goes off and you're in the water and ready to start the triathlon, you hit the start button. And it starts, and it'll start telling you what your distance is. I'm not going anywhere, so the distance is 0, but the time is moving. And you just do your race. You're going through the swim, you get through the swim, and as you get out of the water and you go across the mats to go into transition, you hit the lap button here on the bottom right, and it says you're in transition 1. So then it's getting the time that you're in transition 1. So now you're going from the swim to the bike, you're in transition, you're getting your helmet on, you're getting your shoes on, you're getting your stuff together, and then you run out, and as soon as you run over the mats on the bike out, and just to start the bike, and usually I wait till I mount the bike because you don't want to be messing with your watch, you hit the lap button again, and now it says you're on your bike. So now you're on the bike section of the ride. So then it automatically goes into a bike sequencing here, and I have it set up for my power meter, my cadence meter, and speed. And you can actually scroll through to different menus that show you different things. So if you want to see your average speed, or you want to look at your heart rate, you can scroll through on the watch to look at those different metrics. So now that you've been on the bike for a while and you're coming back in, as soon as you get this off the bike and start running, you're going back into transition 2. So you hit the lap button again, and it takes you into transition 2. Now you're in the transition, you're getting ready to your bike, you're taking your helmet off, you're taking your shoes off, you're putting your running shoes on, you're getting your running hat on, you're getting any final nutrition you want, or getting a drink of water, and you start running out of transition. And then as soon as you run out of transition, you cross the timing mats out of the transition area, you hit the lap button one more time, and you're on the run. So then on the run, it automatically takes you to what your run metrics are. And here I have set up for average pace, heart rate, and instantaneous pace. And again, you can scroll through the menus if you want to look at the distance that you've gone, or anything else that you want to look at. So you go through the run, you're doing the run, and then you finally get through the finish line, you're all done, you hit the lap button one more time, and it says triathlon complete. And then it goes to the menu and it shows you what your total time was. And then obviously if you want to save this, you can save it, or you can start it again, but I'm going to actually get rid of it. And that's how you go through the triathlon. So hopefully that's helpful, and it's very easy to use, and let's move on. So I've had many different running watches and GPS watches over the years. I've had the Timex GPS watches. I've had multiple Garmin running watches, GPS running watches, from the very beginning with the weird oblong ones to the big square ones to the more round ones to now having the 935. And I can say that this is the best one yet. Is it have all the features of every other watch? No, there's other watches out there that have more features, but you're gonna pay a lot more. You get like a Sunto, has maybe some more features that you probably don't even need, but they're very expensive. If you wanted to move up to something that's more robust, you can move up to the Phoenix. There's a Phoenix 3, 5, 7, whatever. It's very similar to the Garmin 935. The only difference is it has a little heavier bezel, stronger bezel, and has shows contour maps. But for triathlon and for running, biking, swimming, you really don't need those extra features, and it's like $100 and some more expensive. So with that information and the knowledge that I've gained over the years of using different watches, I've come up with some pros and some cons of this watch, and there are a lot of pros. So it has a long battery life, and that's one thing I look at when I get a watch and I use a watch, is I don't feel like having to take it off all the time to recharge it. In normal form, without the heart rate monitor on and just using it every day or every other day, this watch, even though it says on this website that it can last for a week, it goes longer than a week. I can make this go 2 weeks or more without having to worry about recharging it. With the heart rate monitor on, and as you can tell that by the green lights in the back of the watch, with the wrist heart rate monitor on, I do tend to charge it every week or maybe every 5 days. And that's not because it's dying, it's just because it gets down to like 20 or 30%, and I just feel like charging it. There are all kinds of add-ons available. I've already mentioned that you can add like speed sensors, cadence sensors, power meters, heart rate straps, all kinds of accessories to the watch to add functionality to the watch. It's water resistant to 5 atmospheres, as I mentioned, which is like 50. I'm not sure if it's 50 feet or 50 meters. It's a long way. You don't have to worry about it. I use this in the ocean. I've used this in lakes, in bays, and in the pool without having any worry at all about it. It has lots of built-in sensors. As I mentioned, it has a thermometer. I'm not sure what you use that for, but it has thermometer, the compass, altimeter, barometer, all kinds of stuff. That's all built in, so you don't need to have extra accessories. It's smartphone compatible. So it syncs to the iPhones, it syncs to Android phones, and then obviously built-in GPS satellite connection, and the connection to all the peripherals I've been mentioning is very quick. On the bikes, I just get near the bike and it automatically picks up the sensors, or if you start moving the wheel, it picks up the sensor, and you're ready to go. Cons. Alright, so there's all kinds of positive things about this. It's fantastic. It's the best watch I've ever had. So a couple of the negative aspects of this watch. I think there's only two. First one is price. These are $500 just for the watch. $500. That's a big pill to swallow. But you can rationalize the purchase because you use it for everything. It is an essential part of my daily life as an athlete. There's not a day that goes by that I don't use this watch pretty much. It's also very strong. I don't worry about knocking it around. I know it's going to last for a very long time. It's upgraded. Some of the software is upgradable in it. It's customizable. You can customize the watch faces and stuff like that. It's an investment. It's $500. So there are other watches out there that don't have all the features that are cheaper, and maybe you want to look at those, but for what I need my watch for, I can just justify the purchase. So the final negative thing about this is sometimes, actually fairly often now for some reason, it doesn't always want to sync to my phone. Usually I have a problem every week pretty much with it not syncing to my phone. I'm not sure if it's a software issue or not, But what's supposed to happen is you do your run, and I don't run with a phone, I just run with the watch. I do a run or a triathlon or swim workout, and I save my information on the watch, and then as I get close to my phone, it's supposed to sync automatically with my phone and upload information to Strava and beginner triathlete and whatever else, my fitness pal, all those things. It's supposed to upload automatically, and it does. It works great with Strava when it uploads. Go use the Garmin Connect app on your phone. However, sometimes it doesn't work properly and I have to reset my phone. So I think it might be more of a phone issue than a watch issue, but there's an issue someplace with the connectivity between the watch and the phone. Anyway, that's what I think of the watch. I've had this watch for a year. My first time using this watch was the morning of Ironman last year, Ironman Maryland. I basically took the watch out of the box, I charged it a little bit, I put it on, I did the Ironman. It worked flawlessly from that, right out of the box. Hope this helps you decide on a watch for your next training season or marathon or triathlon. And until next time, peace.